Go ahead and get started this evening with our work session. First up, is there a motion to accept or modify the agenda?
I move to accept the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Next up, we have the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
I move to remove, to remove G out of the consent agenda to be tabled to talk about later.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
I move that the rest of the consent agenda be approved as modified.
I second it.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, no. Thank you. Next up, we have reports. And I know are you ready for any part of this report? I know that the SRO report is
Either
not ready.
Dr. Costner or I, we can tag team wrestle, or you can have Mr. Smith come up, and he can start his report in anticipation of Sergeant Hyduke's arrival.
That sounds perfect. You ready to go?
Good evening, Board. There's multiple pages. It's 1 of 12. Let's go. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's why I apologize. Yeah, there it is.
This is a test.
I didn't know there was we got it 10 minutes earlier to figure this thing out. Does work that way. I, as always, like to start a quote with the quote, whole purpose of education is to turn mirrors into windows. Sidney J. Harris. Jumping right into recruiting. In case you didn't know, this is Amy Chanley. She's the representative that works with you guys. She's doing a fantastic job. In fact, again, just a number of the events that she's attended. Second and third, meet and greet for prospective stubs at Samuel's Public Library. 11th, she attended the Explorer Expo, hosted at Laurel Ridge. 19th, she was at LFK's Fall Fest. Sorry, excuse me. 24th, Junior Senior College Fair at Skyline. The 28th, Celebrate Kids Day. So, very active month out and about for Ms. Chanley, as usual. We have a district fill rate of 76%. After we factor in the building sub coverage, we have a 93%. We did take a little bit of a hit, but we did see the absences skyrocket this month compared to what we had seen previously. So, we're back into the full swing of school. We had 1,252 absences. That's 300 more than the previous month. So again, we're fully back in class. 951 filled absences, 18 late placed. Those are placed after the assignment actually occurred, leaving us 301 unfilled. For highest fill rate, Blue Ridge Tech sitting at 100%. Lowest fill rate, Warren County High School. Very difficult year with them. Lots of absences popping up, leaving us an average district fill rate of 78%. Again, with that adjusted fill rate, 96%. We have a breakdown of the absences by school. You'll see that some of them are over 100%. That's factoring in the building sub coverage. Some of them are a little lower. Skyline, Warren County Middle, and we have the school board office also listed in there. So again, we're just back to normal. The big delineator here was, what I tried to do this is that the box in red, that's versus 2024, that's what had been spent up to this point, just conversely. So the the fourth column is the total budget that's been spent this year. And then that final column there is just what we had spent, what had been spent last year at this point. So just conversely. So the reds are less than what had been spent previously. The greens are more, I'm sorry. The greens are less than what had been spent previously. The reds are more.
Can we go back a slide? Can I
Sure.
ask something about the previous slide?
Yeah.
I'm looking at the line for Skyline Middle School. Is there a typo in there? It says that only 3 absences were filled out of 119.
That is a typo.
That doesn't seem right?
No, it does not seem right.
Okay. Okay, if you could just let us know afterwards.
Yeah, I can get you
That's
updated on
fine.
that. I
I just-
apologize. Yeah.
If it was right, I wanted to hear more.
No, yeah.
That's fine. That'd be great, thank you.
Finances. As far as retention for the subs, our newsletter continues to, sorry, excuse me, newsletter continues to go out monthly. Amy's doing the Sub of the Week program, recognizing subs that go above and beyond. And we have a Tuesday, Friday mailer, kind of actively extending the next assignments in the next 72 hours. We see that's how the subs usually plan out. When it gets into that 6 to 12 hour window, we see a significant drop in the amount of subs that are actively working. So it seems like ever since COVID, that 72-hour, 3-day mark is really where they kind of start to shop. So if we can offer the jobs incentivized out to them, what's available, we're seeing increases in fill rates and in numbers this year. A couple of things we're just working on. Just again, new weekly incentives in order to increase fill rates on slow days. County events, things like that. They're just whatever we can find in order to motivate these people in order to pick up a couple of extra days, turn our 2 days into 3 days, our zeros into ones, as well as in addition to the new hires that we have, bringing them on, making them feel comfortable and working full time. Continuing to work with the local colleges and campus visits and events, something we had started last year, just again as an effort to kind of build. That'll benefit itself, or that'll pay off itself during the breaks, which usually happens, between November when college breaks for a couple of months until they return back to February. And then it helps us again at the end of the school year, usually like April, May, as college breaks, and the students are available again in order to sub and teach. Also offering perfect attendance and late pickup awards, again, to incentivize those absences that do come in late. Late place, those ones that are placed after the hours of 6 o'clock until the school start next day. Those are the toughest to fill. So we're trying to specifically target those substitutes that are not working or available those times and offer specific incentives to them that we're not offering the other subs because, again, they're already active and working. See if we can get them to fill those. And then awarding the perfect attendance, people that are picking up and are working consistently. Obviously, we want to incentivize that. Showing up for every day is just as important. The call-outs late call-outs are much more difficult to handle than even no pickup because the school was counting on that coverage until that morning. So that's one of the big things we're really trying to avoid and focus is that letting the subs know if there's any question, don't pick the job up. Wait until the morning of and pick it up then if you know that you're available. But if you're sick 2 days before, don't take the job in advance. Wait until the morning of. There's plenty of opportunities. So it may not necessarily be at the school that you wanted, but there's definitely opportunities there to work on that day. Again, if you're feeling okay or healthy. That's pretty much it. Did you guys have any questions?
If you had your wishes, how many more subs do you think you'd need to feel good about the whole program? I mean, I know you feel good now, but how many more would be great?
We've hired 22 since the beginning of August. And what we see is we usually see a big hiring bump at the beginning of the year, and then it kind of trails off as the rest of the year goes. So what I would like to see is a more consistent hiring base each month to month. Usually this time of the year, like I think last year we hired around 17 to 20. This year it'll be 22 to 25. But then the number drops to like when we get to November, December, it's like 3 or 5 or 2. If we can get those into double digits, that's what I think will really help us. The burst is always good at the beginning of the year because people are thinking about it. End of the year, we get a bunch of people as they're heading into summer, kind of wrapping up, trying to get ready for next year. But if we can be more consistent about the hiring across and just get that number up across, I'd like to add the math would show us that statistically only 1 out of 8 subs that we hire works full time. So in order to compensate, if I did that math, I would technically need, 90 subs in order to cover the 30 absences that I would have. That's not realistic given the population. But if we can get 25 to 30 that are willing to work more than just that single day, more than that 1 out of 8, increase that to 1 out of 6 or 1 out of 5, then we'll see a significant contribution to the coverage. We're also seeing the difference usually around this time last year, we were averaging 28 to 30 filled absences a day. Right now it's between 44 and 50. So it definitely has the absences there, but the sub base has also responded.
That's great. Thank you.
Sure. Yes.
So back on the absences by school slide, it says the total absences for Skyline Middle School is 119. It said unfilled was 82, so the difference would be 37 filled. What's the fill rate? It says it at 31%. It's significantly lower than the others. Are you guys having a hard time getting people to want to sub at Skyline Middle?
We can make note for this. So there was professional development. I don't know if you want to speak to this at all, Rachel. There was a PD day or days at Skyline Middle School that did hit them, that they would request, a chunk of staff for this professional development that was not planned in my system.
Okay, okay, well, that's good to know. And then the only other question that I had, was I see the 0.25 bill, we still doing the quarter day bills?
Quarter day absences are still available in the system. We can't prevent anybody from taking those times and allocations. The schools themselves are responsible for dissuading the staff from taking those absences. All I'm doing is simply tracking and reflecting what. So you'll see the number of the schools don't have those,
Yeah.
but there's still a couple in there where somebody's sliding in a 2-hour absence because it's 1:30 to 3:30. They're leaving early. So usually those are handled in-house, which is why we attribute them as the quarter day. But a lot of the schools have gotten very good because there's no point in taking that 2-hour absence. You might as well make it a half day because the substitutes are paid for a half day allocation. So that's something that we bring back to the schools themselves, and usually the administration in the school addresses with the staff.
So if it is a quarter day, we don't pay the half day. I think that was a problem that happened sometime in our past, where they would come in and only work the quarter time, but because we only paid half, they got paid the half days rather than the quarter day. So these quarter day people, do they get paid the quarter day?
They do not. They get paid a half day an allocation.
Hold on.
But
Yes.
you're not filling a quarter day
No.
with a sub.
No.
That's your question,
Yeah.
right? Like you're not filling these
No,
quarters. that
we
you-
don't target those absences. Usually what happens is those are placed in the system by the substitute or by the staff member themselves. Normally, if we catch them in advance, we would bring that to the attention of the administration to say, hey, you know, Ms. Johnson that's put in for a quarter day on Thursday, you know, you really would benefit more. But the exception is on the other side. Obviously, the district staff is using more PTO allocation. It's a 4 hours versus the 2 hours. But from our standpoint, you know, it's obviously better for you guys. I mean, you're paying for a 4-hour stint rather than the 2 hours or the hour 75, whatever the smaller allocation may be. So we really do kind of leave that up to the administration of the building in order to handle it. And as you can see, like even this one with Warren County having 6, I mean, it's been an atypical month for them. Usually we see, you know, maybe 2 or 3 across the whole district. That's what it's been historically.
And I'll also say that if I catch them in the system, if I see them in there, I will actually go in, I'll reach out to the admin, I'll say, hey, this staff member, you know, entered a quarter day, it's only 2 hours, I really can't fill that, I'm gonna take the no sub required, I'm gonna, you know, put that on there, and then they're not gonna be eligible to pick up a job. So I'm definitely trying to filter through that and be aware when I see those come into the system.
Okay, thank you.
And then the only other thing that I was gonna ask was really more for our board. You guys have really turned this around and you're doing great. So what I was gonna suggest is instead of maybe doing the monthly presentations, how would you guys feel about switching to like a quarterly presentation?
I think that would be fine.
That'd be great. I mean, if you had monthly ones you want to send so you can look them
Sure.
over, but a quarterly presentation would be plenty. You guys have done an amazing job.
Thank you. You know, whatever you guys would like. I think that would offer us a better snapshot because we're kind of just looking at month to month and, you know, kind of things like that. A quarterly one would allow us to reflect on last year, as well as put that in context and kind of see the direction that we're going. Because I know that this information doesn't show you what we did last October, and it doesn't show you what we're, you know, planning on doing this October. It also doesn't show what we did in August anymore, you know. So as we move on in advance, while the numbers and obviously we track it as far as the budget's going, the overall general picture, I think, may be better benefited over a larger area, you know, a larger sample size. So,
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be fine. Good.
of course, I'm going to miss coming down here and
Oh, of
Spelunkers.
course.
I mean, that's, you know, right? There's no custard and no sandwich places by me that do a good job like that. So I'll be a little short-staffed, but hopefully, you know, hopefully Ms. Chandler can mail me some, you know, there's overnight and things like that. Also, I wanted to bring up that moving forward, Ms. Chandler will be the person presenting and coming to the board meetings in here. I was here to kind of offer support myself and Mr. Hall, my boss. Now that we're kind of here a little over a year, Ms. Chandler's taking on more responsibility. She's handling the applications and things like that. She's more than qualified in order to come and present to you guys. If there's anything in excess that you needed, or, you know, I'm more than happy to make a trip down and come and visit. You know, still intend to be working actively with Ms. Chandler, Rachel, and the whole team. But you'll see Ms. Chandler at these meetings moving forward. All right?
Perfect.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Still don't see Sergeant Hyduke, so.
Do you want to move on or do you want to
move
come
on?
back?
We can move on to the third reading.
Okay.
If we want.
And this brings Dr. Costner up so he could stay to
Yes.
do the other part too.
So as he's making his way up for the third reading of KG-E regulations for use of facilities, I'm just gonna ask if anyone's here from the audience that would like to speak on this item. Hi, Dr. Cosner.
Madam Chair, Dr. Martin, thank you. And we have in front of you policy KG-E regulations for use of facilities. I know there may have been some other questions. There was an addition that was made based on the last board meeting that we had, and it was to the trying to the correct one. It was to D, where D was added as non-public educational agencies within Warren County. That was the request from the board at the last meeting. Is there any changes, additions, or deletions that would like to be made?
Just the one that I had emailed about, just seeing it in print, non-public educational agencies within Warren County. Is there any way that we could just, it's really just clerical, say educational agencies, parentheses, non-public within Warren County, just to clarify?
If the will of the board, and I'll be glad to add that. I do want to, again, as I've mentioned in the previous meetings, that it is, the way that it is set up is that once we go down past government agencies, it's a first come, first serve.
Right.
Because one of the things when we do talk about, if we do distinguish it with an educational thing, I just want to make sure the board is aware that they are the public educational are tax-paying citizens and everything else, but it also, for example, Girl Scouts is also a are a tax-paying group that kicks them down to a lower category. So I'm not sure that if you all would be comfortable with that. If you are, I'm fine with changing it however you see fit. But
Girl Scouts would fit in with that section D.
if it's classified as educational, well, possibly. And I just don't want I don't want the board to create anything to where that they may get stuck in a situation that it looks like that we are taking care of certain tax-paying groups and certain tax-paying groups are not. And we also don't want to set it up too to where a group shows up on a Thursday and say, hey, I want the basketball court Friday night, and this other organization has it. We're not going to kick someone out. Now, let's just say, for example, the government agency says, hey, we have to have a special election on this day, then yes, we would move people because that's how it's set up. But I just want the board to understand that up front and be glad to work and add it whichever way. If we do make a change, I would like to make a recommendation that we have this change, but then we have another reading just in case if there's anyone within the community that would like to speak upon it. But again, it's whatever the will of the board is, I'll be glad to do.
So just adding parentheses would require another reading?
It means the same thing
It's
to
the
me.
same.
Well, the problem is the adjective, if you say the non-public education, like that's it being one word, or if it's non-public educational and agencies. So if you say it's non-public education, then that means all other agencies within Warren County. But if you say it's non-public, comma, or educational agencies, initially I read it because I knew how we put it in.
Right.
This is from reading it from just someone like, well, what is it? So that it either has to have a comma, so it's non-public, comma,
Right.
educational agencies within Warren County, then you know we're talking about education agencies that are non-public. But if you read it as non-public education, it makes it sound like in every other agency it doesn't matter whether it's education or not. That's it's not changing any of how we thought about it. It's just
Yeah.
someone could read it improperly based on that.
It was literally just a formatting. I'm not trying to change the intention behind it, just that we're prioritizing school use for educational purposes. So if you're not going to end up with, I don't know, a group of guys coming in to play basketball bumping the Girl Scouts. You know what I mean? Like prioritize the kids, their schools.
Well, and we do for our school. I mean, that's number one. It is our schools take precedence over any other organizations, and they do get it first. And again, I hate to say the word inclement weather out loud, But if we have any inclement weather and a basketball game has to be moved, then whatever organization may have the facilities rented, that those do get bumped. We try to reschedule them. We don't really try to cancel anyone out whatsoever. We try to reschedule and work with them. I know that they've been working diligently to try to help some organizations to get it scheduled currently right now.
I
think-
wasn't suggesting bumping like actual basketball teams associated with the schools. I'm talking about like the group of guys that are adult men that come in and play on like Saturdays, just willy-nilly. Like the Girl Scouts should have priority over something like that.
Well, it would be on it would be on a first come, first served basis with this, whoever signs up for it. It wouldn't be, for example, if as you mentioned, the adult males that are playing basketball, if there was an organization that did that, then another organization came in a week later and said, hey, I wanted this Saturday, November the 15th. I don't know if that's a Saturday, it's just an example. But we would not bump them out and say, no, you can't have it because the Girl Scouts want it.
I think for this, that all we're talking about is that it's literally a grammar term. It's an education is referring back to non-public, or it could be referenced as referring back to non-public. So it becomes one word, non-public-educational. So if everything, and then if you say, well, if we have non-public educational, what's left? All other agencies within Warren County. We're trying to say there's the ones above it, A, B, and C, and then there's other educational agencies within Warren County that are not related to the public schools.
Correct. I
That's
do
what, so
understand.
it's literally a modification of the word educational. So you could change it by just say non-public, comma, educational, then it
Yeah.
wouldn't be assumed it's a modifier. But right now, it's a grammatical, it could be misinterpreted to modify non-public educational agencies.
Yeah, a comma, it serves the same
Yeah, comma would
purpose
serve
as
the same purpose.
parentheses. So yeah, I'm fine with comma.
Be glad to, if that's,
I mean, I don't think we need another reading if we're just
Okay,
having that comment.
that's fine.
Because when I say it means the same thing to me, I mean, the intent of what we're saying now is the same intent that we talked about at the previous meetings.
Right,
So
yeah.
we are not changing the meaning of what we've discussed.
I understand
So,
this,
so I think it's
and it's, you know, I just want to make sure, because if we did change it, I would like to ask for another reading, just to make sure that we're good and that we're fully transparent with our
The
tax.
comma would be great.
Yeah, that's fine.
So,
Comma after non-public and before educational. On D. Is there any other questions about it?
Yeah, looks great. Thanks for your work on it.
Is there a motion?
I move that the Warren County School Board approve the updates to policy KG-E, regulations for use of facilities as modified.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Any discussion on that? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Costner. Would you like to get started?
Do you have your notes?
yes, sir, I actually printed a copy just in
Oh,
case
so
you needed
die.
some extra assistance. Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Martin. The report that I have for you tonight that I'm going to go over is from our Sergeant Hyde. She was unable to be here tonight because of another commitment. She may be coming in just a few minutes, I'm not sure. But before I read them, because I was reading them, I was like, whoa. Some of these are things that have been reported to SROs or may have happened in the school or happened in the community. So I do want that to be clear when as we go through this, because again, some of the information is reported to an SRO that, hey, this happened Friday night or this happened Saturday, and the SRO took record of it. Okay, so again, for example, this is for August and September. For the information purposes that were taken in August, there was 2, I guess you would call it as incidents where they documented information, and then in September there was 13. Is for threat assessments, there were 2 that were done in August and 3 in September. For the K-9 demo, they had 2 K-9 demos in September. There were no K-9 demos in August. For assault and battery, there were 4 cases in August and 2 in September. We move to possession of marijuana on school grounds. There was one case in August, and there were 4 cases in September. Possession of alcohol or drinking during school hours. There were no cases or reports, I should say, maybe that's the best way of saying it, in August, and there was 1 report in September. For possession of a weapon on school property, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. For threats of death or bodily harm, there was 1 case reported in August and 1 in September. We move to abusive language. There was no reports in August and none in September. The violation of a court order, there was none in August or none in September. Destruction of property, there was none in August, there was 1 in September. Damaging a public building, there was 1 report in August, there were no reports in September. Maliciously activating a fire alarm, there was none in August and none in September. Computer solicitation, there was none in August and there was none in September. Indecent exposure, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Abduction, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Hazing, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Sexual battery, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Sexual battery not on school property, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Possession of child pornography, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Possession with intent to distribute child pornography, there was none in August and no reports in September. Sexual extortion, there were no reports in August, no reports in September. Falsely summoning or giving false reports to law enforcement officials, there were none in August and there were no reports in September. Contributing to the delinquency of a minor, there were no reports in August and 1 report in September. Forcible sodomy, there were no reports in August and 1 report in September. Brandishing a weapon, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Trespassing, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Petty larceny, there were no reports in August and 1 report in September. And adulteration of food or drink, there were no reports in August and no reports in September. Is there anything in particular you would like for me to reach back to Sergeant Hyduke for clarification on?
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Okay. Before we move into our executive session this evening, I just want to say quickly, we're continuing to move forward with our superintendent search, and we're hoping to have an announcement at our November 5th meeting.
This motion is made that this open public meeting of the Warren County School Board become a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711. The school board desires to discuss the following matter in a closed meeting. Section 2.2-3711A1. Discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of employees of the school board, Specifically, the personnel report, the personnel report addendum, employee personnel issue number 2025-0528-02, as well as the superintendent search.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Mr. Valentine, could you do roll call, please?
Yes. Mrs. Lowe,
Aye.
Mr. McFadden,
Aye.
Madam Chair,
Aye.
Mrs. Salem.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Could you please read us out of closed session?
According to the votes recorded by the clerk, the School Board of Warren County does hereby certify that to the best of each member's knowledge, that one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act were discussed in the closed meeting to which this certification applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered by the school board.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Could you do roll call, Mr. Valentine?
Mrs. Salem,
Aye.
Madam Chair,
Aye.
Mr. McFadden,
Aye.
Mrs. Lowe.
Aye.
Is there a motion on the personnel report and personnel report addendum?
I move that the personnel report and personnel report addendum for October 15th be approved as presented.
Is there a second?
I second it.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Anything else this evening? Ready to adjourn?
Thank you.